with the city to get all of your information on you. They're actually toadies, they're shills. They're creating these asset-based community development programs where you are the asset and you will be doing mandatory volunteering. If you want to know how Agenda 21 impacts you right now, take a look at Sonoma County. That's where I live. It's a rural county. We're about an hour north of San Francisco.
Bohemian Grove.
The county supervisors have just announced that out of the 1,384 miles of rural roads, they will only be paving 150 miles, and the rest of those roads will be pulverized to gravel.
Unbelievable.
Now, that is going to have a tremendous impact on people's property value, on your ability to get to your property.
I want to stop you right there. We're going to come back from break and continue on what this is going to do. But I hope people are listening here, because when she talked about this the other day, I went and looked it up because I heard it on the radio, and I knew they were doing this. They said they destroy the roads. They have that map we'll show, a UN map of half the U.S. off limits, and they say the rewilding is first they go to dirt, then they're going to start making you have a special permit to travel in there. And when you hear 100 and something miles in that county, it is hundreds of little roads. I've been there many times covering Bohemian Grove. It's concrete roads up stuff so steep without it you couldn't make it. I mean, that is beautiful wine country, beautiful homes everywhere. This is the sabotaging of our infrastructure. It is high treason. And we're going to get into these toady spies, because I've run into them. They hire spies. A little over. All right, we're back live. This is a short segment. And we're going to start the third hour and continue for just a segment or more, getting into what it's going to do and then expand. But out in East Texas, where we've got a family ranch, multiple times they tried to build a new coal power plant, and they sent little Nature Conservancy minders and others to literally go door to door to do all sorts of stuff, to harass people, to threaten people. And they are so creepy, and they're operatives, and they act like they're citizen activists. And so I guess you've run into these little toadies yourself, and then continue with how many miles of roads you've got out there and what they're planning to do. Rosa.
Everyone has run into to these people, and they're, what does it take for someone to be, to go along, to get along? It takes, maybe for someone it's just to appoint them to a board or a commission, or to promise them a contract, or just give them a pat on the back and tell them how important they are to the city. There are plenty of people out there who are willing to be obedient servants of this plan. People who are maybe also getting money, people who buy in totally to this plan. And I really have compassion for people who are environmentalists who really think that this plan is about the environment. It is not. If it didn't sound so good, we wouldn't all be falling for it. It's a manipulation plan. It is a totalitarian plan. So, yes, they are pulverizing. They're talking about they have no money here in Sonoma County to pave our roads. What do your taxes go for? What do you want from a county? You want them to pave your roads and, do a few things like that. Well, they're not going to be paving around 1,200 miles of roads here in Sonoma County. And if you can't get to your property, what does that mean? It means you'll be coming into the cities. There are already 60 million acres of roadless land in the United States. And the plan is to keep you out of the rural areas, keep you out of the forested areas, move you into the city centers where you can be surveilled, controlled, manipulated, and managed. And I know this sounds crazy, but you know what? The plan is crazy. We are not crazy. We are recognizing, we are reporters of what is going on. There are people in neighborhood associations who are actually working for instance, the Lung Association. The California Lung Association has an advocacy arm for smart growth. When you want to find these people in your community, put their name in your search engine with ICLEI, that's ICLEI, that's the International Council of Local Environmental Initiatives, or put it in with smart growth, or put it in with sustainable development. See what comes up.
And by the way, they've now put their signs up at many of the hike and bike trail entrances to Austin as if they made the hike and bike trails. So they're all, I mean, they're putting their gang sign up where I live.
These are your tax dollars. Now, I ride a bike, you ride a bike. Bicycles are great, but the bicycle coalitions are the shock troops for sustainable development. If you go to my website, which is democratsagainstUNagenda21.com, and you read about it, it's also in my book, which is Behind the Green Mask, UNagenda21.com. I talk about how the bicycle coalitions partner with huge low-income housing developers. And then the average guy in the bike coalition doesn't know anything about this. I'm talking about the people who are running it. They are working hand in glove with these enormous developers of low-income housing. That's what's getting built in the center of your city with your tax subsidies. And these are developments that are called smart growth. This is the preferred development plan for United Nations Agenda 21.
All right, stay there. I want to talk about what they're doing here in Austin. It's incredible what the bike riders are doing. Right. We're going to be taking your calls on Agenda 21 coming up here in about 10 minutes or so, but we're continuing here. And I want to continue after the break because some stations don't carry this first 5 minutes. XM does, and about half our affiliates do. We're talking to author of Behind the Green Mask, Agenda 21, available at Infowars.com. Hope you get it, folks. And while you're at it, get my film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, that tells you the rest of the story about once the global government's in place, the Agenda 21, the super unions, the breakdown of the borders, the forced inoculations. It's all their documents. Rosa Koire, author and researcher, a forensic investigator, a forensic commercial real estate appraiser, joins us. You were getting into the bike people. They're real aggressive. They're told to do this like a cult by the local bike groups. They're all big environmentalists. Well, they're not real environmentalists. They're shock troops who believe in this. They get out in the main roads and try to block you in groups. It's not critical mass where they're fighting back people who don't like bikes, but it's kind of that attitude. And they cut in front of you, and now they're like on, say, 6th Street. They've shut down part of the lane. It's a giant bike lane. And instead of pulling in to park in those businesses now, they make you go around and back in, which is super dangerous. And I've talked to the businesses there. It's destroyed their business. And then they take a bunch of parking spaces out and mandate little bitty parking and then bike parking. And it's just incredible how aggressive they are. But don't worry, bike riders. America's going to collapse. You're not going to have a job. You're going to have to ride a bike. So don't worry, you run things. But, I mean, you're correct. They are little gang members for them now. Please continue.
Yeah, this is the truth. And I ride a bike. Like I say, I'm not talking about that riding a bicycle is a bad thing. What I'm saying is that the bicycle coalitions are being used as the shock troops to demand this kind of development. And also, you're talking about that reverse back into your parking space. That is dangerous. These bike boulevards are dangerous. If you're a bike rider, these are dangerous for you. But we're not talking about what's actually good for a bicycle rider. We are talking about a globalist plan that remakes your city to a specific model. This is not only in the United States, it's all across the United States and all across the world. And you'll see these plans. They're called One Bay Area. They're called 4 states, one vision. They often have the word vision in them, or they might be your city 2050 or your city 2035. They're planning out to 2050. This is the planning, what we're looking at is a planning revolution here. And it's a totalitarian plan that they're implementing. I want to let people know that totalitarian plans all share, every totalitarian plan, whether it was under Stalin or Hitler or Mao, they all share the same elements. And you will recognize it here in your country, wherever you live. You'll see that there's being a takeover and a total control of all land use, of your educational system, of means of production, all of your resources, okay? Also, you'll see it's all for the common good. It's all for the fatherland. It's all for the homeland. It's all for everyone's good, right? The individual will lose against this. You see the scarcity mentality. Oh, there's not enough. You have to restrict yourself. You have to conserve. Am I a pig? Do I want to use everything up? No, but we're talking about, this is a totalitarian design. Well,
this is about them controlling who they dole it out to. This is about them setting the standards, your light bulb, your toilet, your parking space, your roads, destroying your roads. And they admit to shut you down, to make you poor so they can control you. They all brag about it. They're a pack of scum.
Well, here's another element. Okay, there's 5 elements in the totalitarian plan.
Stay there. Start over when we come back. Start over, recap how they're doing it on the other side, and then phone calls. We'll do one more segment, just going over it, then your phone calls. And for folks that are holding, we're going to get to you. We'll be right back. And again, the book is Behind the Green Mask, Agenda 21. It's available right now at Infowars.com. You support Rosa Koire. You support Infowars.com. So be sure and get the book and get it out to everybody. A little over a year. A lot of callers have pointed out, we've pointed out, that there's global standardization. And a month ago at Davos, the Homeland Security put out a press release saying we are helping governments through this body and through other organizations and international planning groups set up security, set up supply chain, set up everything. They've got global standardized environment, roads, police, everything. And it's all done by grants by the big mega banks. You look at Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all the groups caught laundering literally hundreds of billions in drug money. All the groups caught, like Wells Fargo and Wachovia, owning and leasing the drug courier aircraft. That came out in Bloomberg and AP. Again, it's purely about land grabbing. And it's about getting rid of your local government. And they come in, they run people for mayor, they run them for the planning boards, they get them all in position. And the first thing they do is start grabbing rural areas, saying it's going to be a buffer zone. Then they flip it and sell it, always. Then with that money, they start taking over more land. And it is just savage. It is savage. I mean, around here, they've taken farms, ranches. It's eminent domain. They pay you almost nothing. You saw the cases in Connecticut where they were taking houses that have been there 3 generations and charging you to have them taken. Because if you don't take their pittance, then when they win, you pay the fees. My dad, a few years ago, for our family land, got a letter from the state saying, here's your landowner Bill of Rights. And, of course, they called tyranny a Bill of Rights, and they said, you got just a few weeks when somebody wants to take the property or buy it or do a pipeline or something. You got a couple weeks, I think a total of 6. And then if you don't accept it, we'll just take it. That's your new right. And it's just criminal government. And the NAPTA superhighways are meant to shut down the roads in Agenda 21 where you can't exit. There's already toll roads all the way from Texas 35 up into Oklahoma and then into Kansas. It was like this a decade ago. You try to drive, you can drive 100 miles before you can exit. You see all the ghost towns. They've blocked up the exits. They were there before. And then they build McDonald's and things in the middle. And select groups get to have the business. I mean, it is incredible what they're doing. It's so diabolical. And Rosa Koire was talking about how they've taken over and financed the bike groups that supposedly lobby for bikes. And they're taking over major streets. They're turning the parking around backwards where it's super dangerous. It's about, we're going to tell you your toilet. We're going to tell you your light bulbs. We're going to tell you your house. We're going to tell you where you can build. We're going to tell you about your car. And they admit, in fact, put the map on screen for folks watching at prisonplanet.tv. If not, just Google Dr. Michael Kaufman UN maps. These were shown to Congress. This is a map made off of the UN diagrams of what they want by 2020. This is from 1992. You can see them doing it now. Half the U.S. is off limits to humans. All that in red. Okay? Half the country. In fact, the one we've got on screen is kind of blown out in yellow. Show them this map, the one I found, propertyrightsresearch.org, actually.